You don't need that for this thing. So these are English, and you can hold on to those. Yeah. I think that's. Yeah. Because you're separate from this. Ah, I see. Right. Well, I think I can tell you that you might. My name is Tatsu. Nice to meet you. Welcome to Shizenkan. Hello, I'm Tatsu. Nice to meet you. So where did you know about Shizenkan? Uh, Actually, one of my colleagues is studying here. Oh, really? Yes, oh, Hashi, okay. The embassy. So he told nice things about the Shizenkan. Yeah, and also most of the people that I know back in the school, now somehow. It's 18. Yeah. So it's pretty good. Okay. Samuti. Oh, wow. Okay. How did you know? Shizenkan. Yeah. I have one of my I met one answer exactly. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so all one of us. Okay, good, good. Yeah, it tells something. Yeah, very good students here. Hmm? We have good students here. Oh yes, yes, we do. Yeah, we do. They are very active and I mean it's a teaching here. Yeah, I just enjoyed listening was last August. And before then I taught in China. And here we have very strong students with diversity. And it's not easy to have this sort of diversity in Japan. Yeah, it's very Japanese and very monolithic, old men. Yeah, so Japan is very good with this flexible. Oh yeah, you can continue working. Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's actually true. People sometimes trying to handle to juggle the job and the work and the family responsibilities. Yeah, I feel yeah, people somehow manage it. And we also there, um, we don't put so much pressure on students. We try to keep it appropriate. In the sense. どうも。どうしたの勉強したの勉強した。英語でも大丈夫。Yeah, he's my former colleague, and he somehow found me. And, Okay. All right. Shall we start? So, some more people may show up, but let me start. Okay, so welcome to Shizenkan, and we are glad to welcome you to the first session of our open class for 2020. And this is a slide with pictures from our session. And as you can see, we have very diverse cohort of students, and which is very unique in Japan. And as you can see, our teaching style is not lecturer talking and you guys listening. You have lots of students have lots of opportunities to have discussions and working together, exercises, and this is because we believe that it's very important to use your brain and body to effectively learn. And we are trying to make, make our sessions as interactive as possible. That is what I also want to do today. So I want ask you to discuss and raise your opinions, and I will keep talking with you. And I encourage you to ask any question, whatever coming up in your mind during at any point in this session. So this is the brief timetable for today. So we will have a demo lecture for 45 minutes, and then we'll move on to an information session to introduce the Shizenkan and its MBA program. So this is a brief introduction of myself. My name is Katsuki Yoshikawa. Please call me Katsu. And I teach management of people and organization here, and also I partly teach global strategy and management with my colleagues. And my research focuses on international human resource management, so how to deal with human resource management issues in multinational organizations. And I also do some research on proactive and pro-social behavior at contemporary organizations with diversity and the influence of IT and also globalization. That's my topic. And before, I'm actually pretty new in academia. I just started working in universities 2 years ago. And before then, I was working as a consultant at Recruit, which is one of largest human resource related company in Japan. And Shingo is one of my former colleagues at Recruit. And I, after leaving consultancy, I did PhD at London School of Economics, and then joined Shanghai Jiao Tong University in China. And I taught at its business school there. And last year I joined Shizenkan. So please tell us, share briefly introduce yourself. Tell us your name and this background and what do you know about Shizenkan and what do you want to know through this session? Just briefly. Okay. Anyone can start. Please. Yeah. So can you show your name card to me? Okay. Something.
Use the diploma, my last name is Saki.
Okay.
I'm originally from Afghanistan, and I'm working for Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Center Student Education. I'm graduate in Application University of Canada. Spent 2 years there. Now I just came last 3 months before we go back to Japan.
Okay.
I'm working for the and I did law and political science and my bachelor's from University. I did master degree in distance. I studied from the French University of Spain and security studies.
Okay.
I have a diploma from the Defense College of NATO and Rome, which I was working as a deputy for security information in the UK.
Okay.
Mostly I was working on this process and security staff. And that's it.
Okay, so what do you know about Shizenkan?
Just as I told you before, I just heard about one of my colleagues who is student here.
Okay.
And he studied, and so my expectation is to know more about this university. As I told you, the time is very flexible. People who have full-time jobs, great opportunity, but part-time come here and study, and in the weekends there's a possibility. So more on business. As here the topic shows that on the management and organization stuff, that how India and so the business and all this stuff. You need to have this offer in 1 degree, master degree, and
Okay. Good. What if you choose one question? What do you know today?
as I'm working on the public sector and organization, so now I'm at the policy level working. So it's really for me like how I can obtain the trust of my colleagues and use their energy and their talent and be on the right track to achieve the organization objective and goals. And
Okay.
this is way with the low budget.
Okay. Good. So, which one? Continue. Yeah. Actually, you don't need to be so much detail as Najla.
So my name is Info, and I work for the Computer Science Center, and I'm attending the different objects.
Okay.
From me. So actually I'm not learning, but I am sending the people to the places, and I have
Yeah, actually, my student, one of my students is from Takeda.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we have two people, one in this class and the other in this class, and today I want to know how do you work
Okay. Okay.
in practically
Okay, so it's a bit different perspective here. Okay. So, yeah, you know much about
Yes,
Shizenkan. Yeah. Okay.
to the self people and the
Okay.
so I think really unique
Yeah.
learn something. I work about it to concentrate on my confidence and my for instance, the method is studying different technology. And people are very flexible. The music is very flexible and it's very interesting. But she told me that contact information is not the data and the document.
Yeah.
So I just want to, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah. So that's one of our unique points. Combining regional organization and business relations. Okay, let's move on to this table. We don't need to be very Shizenkan. Yeah.
So good evening everyone. My name is Brain. Brain Arturia, but you can call me Brain. Okay. I'm from the Philippines and I'm an electronics engineer. So I've been here for about 7 months already. Yeah, so I'm now working with the NEC Corporation. So yeah, I'm 26 years old and what do you know about Shizenkan? So what drew my attention is that Shizenkan is the diversity of students here. So uh, and the combination of Western and Asian way of teaching. So that really what excites me about Shizenkan. And then what do you want to know in this session? I really want to improve or enhance my leadership skills because I've been away for about 5 years in a school environment and what the leadership that I had is just in the university and school. So I mean in the corporate world it's different. So I want to learn about that.
Please go on. Yep.
My name is Singo. I was I worked with Hudson in for 3 years. Yeah.
No,
It's already 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah. And, I've heard this lecture on my Facebook. Yeah. I found. Then I applied with this event, but I don't know. I know nothing about this.
Okay, you will see.
Because I'm interested in Katsu. So this is my challenge.
Okay.
One mic.
Okay, good. Thanks for coming. Yes.
I'm a hero,
Akihiro, yes.
and I work in company like I told you, accounting company. And I can speak English well. I'm sorry. But yeah, and so last year I quite the company and I started a company like to teach young Japanese people about management or marketing. Because I work company and I run marketing and management. So that's my background. So I know about Shizenkan. I know Shizenkan about Shizenkan is unique style. And I saw several college like Waseda or Keio on internet.
Yeah.
But Shizenkan is very unique style, like Toyoshito, and Toyoshito and management and creative. So I'm very interested about Shizenkan.
Okay.
So I want to know about in this session what Shizenkan talk about, what Shizenkan teach about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Last one, please.
Yes.
I'm Koichiro Nishimura, and I worked at Big Career 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Two talks speak. Okay.
And he was my manager.
Okay. Okay.
And today, my friend is here.
Okay, okay,
She called for me.
okay. You should come.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And I want to know uh, how to think
Mhm.
human resource management.
Okay. Okay. So the form first one. Okay. Thank you very much for your introduction. Let me go straight into today's discussion. So today, because time is limited, I chose just two topics for discussion. And the first topic is this: what drives positive individual behaviors at work? Okay. You can think various positive behaviors, various types of behaviors that have positive impact on workplace and also the organization. Okay. Please think about what drives those positive behaviors. It might be coming from individual characteristics, or it might come from organizational context. Okay. Whatever you can think of. Okay. Let's discuss it. In other words, if you want to promote positive behavior among employees, what should you concern as a leader? Okay? What should you think about? Pay attention. That is the topic for the first discussion. Okay? I'll give you 6 minutes for each table. Let's say 5 minutes for each table, and come up with whatever ideas you think important in terms of promoting positive individual behavior. Come on. Okay, you can do in either. Are you happy with Japanese or English? English better. Okay, let's keep going. Keep with English.
Now, I'm now a lot big company, and I'm now COO of the company. So I'm really about managing the.
Okay, you can use to take notes.
So I begin what is the
Use that to take notes. Please use.
with,
And we have some pens here.
I think,
Yep, it's like.
I think safety of me not my own. They think of their ideas, which is a very important factor.
My opinion, leader should have talk think about think on vision, not behavior. Not character, but also think for business. Because, especially in Japanese behavior, thinking about what they think about. Japanese Shizenkan and thinking with contact, and that's not just. I most important thing is not character at think and why and what they are like how how to think about that's I think most important.
I think manager should think about he, what the leader should know how to encourage everyone in the team, not just giving orders, uh, not just thinking about the work. He should encourage everyone, and he should think of everyone's conditions. Like for example, you mean like for example, if someone is not really working well, maybe he should talk with him and then pinpoint the problem because maybe it's because of family problems and all. So it's not really about the work. Yeah. It's about the person. Yeah. Be mindful.
What? Yeah. So that is the central question.
Maybe have each other, with each other, or
Please join this team. And we are discussing this question. So you are Lucas. Correct.
why we have with each other? Without we was more about with each other.
It's almost the same. I just twisted. Okay. Okay, let's open up the conversation to the class. Okay. So, before talking about what drives positive behavior, let's talk about positive behaviors itself. Okay. What is positive behaviors at work? What did you think about when you think about positive work behavior? What kind of behavior are you thinking? Yeah.
I think positive individual behavior means if someone is not good performance,
Okay.
I will help him.
Okay.
So, for help with each other,
Okay. Helping.
without any incentives.
Yeah. Okay. So helping voluntarily,
Yeah.
helping colleagues.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Do you agree? Yeah. It's clearly a positive behavior. Okay. Any other thoughts? Yep.
Like to be same like this, but to be open and supportive
Okay.
and help your colleagues to be on the right track to achieve the same goal. In the end of the day, you work for the common goals.
Okay.
So being friendly and trustable person. So it is getting and encouraging others to be
Okay.
to manage their behavior.
So, and you're supportive of colleagues, and also you are open to their opinions, yeah, or suggestions, open to colleagues. Yeah.
So any behavior is proactively,
Mhm.
and also owned by their own initiative.
Okay.
But the other words that are not reactive, not forced to do that.
Okay. So being proactive, taking initiatives, and without direct direction from the boss, you take initiative for the shared goal of the team or the organization. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Building trust is important.
Okay, building trust.
Among
Yeah. So probably trust is an outcome, can be outcome of being supported or listening to others or helping others. And so without exchanging positive favor with one another, we cannot really build strong trust among members. Yeah, but you need to be also trustworthy, keeping your words, etc. All right. So what do we need to do or what drives these behaviors? Okay, let's ask some quiet people. Okay, okay, this is always the case. Some people are very active, and some people are a bit more modest. Okay, I want to listen from everyone. Okay,
I didn't get the point.
okay.
What was the question?
So the question was,
Again.
what drives these behaviors? Okay, thank you. What drives these behaviors?
What drives this behavior?
Yeah. Or, yeah. Okay, go.
No, yes.
Okay. In order to promote these behaviors, as a leader, what do we need to care?
I think the relationship between the colleagues.
Okay, so the quality of relationship.
Yes.
Correct? Yep.
Healthy work environment.
So what do you mean by healthy work environment?
It's not toxic for everyone.
Okay. Okay. So no one abuses others, for example, or you feel safe, for example, or you feel support from colleagues, this sort of thing.
I think psychotherapy.
Okay, safety. Yeah. Yeah. If you're not sure how you will be treated, okay, after doing, for example, taking initiative, and you may surprise your boss, but you feel safe, even if you surprise your boss by taking initiative. Okay? Otherwise, you wouldn't take initiative. Okay? You feel threat. Okay. Yeah. Any other? Yeah. You started saying something.
Security.
Security. Okay.
You give something certain security,
Yeah.
and you can take otherwise is
Okay. Yeah. So, so the context, what context matters, right? It's a workplace, it's safe and healthy, and the relationship is good. Individuals would act positively. Okay, that is what it says. And some of you in this team also mentioned individual character or individual ability also matter. It also matters, right? Because there are individual differences, and individual differences also affect our behavior.
Yeah, stakes is important.
Yeah. So, for example, personality and also ability. So, if you're whether you are smart or not, that also affects your ability. Whether you are able to understand the opportunity to act, for example, or where there's a need from among your colleagues, you need to be somehow smart. Okay? And you need to be aware of people's concerns. Okay, thank you very much. So, if you think about when you think about performance, we need to somehow think about different types of performance. And most of you mentioned are discretional, voluntary behavior that benefit someone in the workplace. But at the same time, if you're a manager, you want your subordinates to perform their tasks. Yeah. If they do all these and they don't perform their goals, achieve their goals, it's problematic, isn't it? Yeah? So along with these positive behaviors, you also expect each individual to pursue their allocated tasks and to achieve their goals, assigned goals. So this type of behavior, okay, to carry out 4 tasks of one job and achieve the targets, this is called as task performance. So each individual has their own tasks, and they need to perform well on their task in order for the organization or group of people to perform well. Okay? So that is the basic. So I guess it's so basic that you didn't mention, right? But of course, on top of that, we expect people engage in behavior that benefits the organization. Okay? For example, helping colleagues, as you mentioned, and also make suggestions proactively. Okay? Or sometimes you might expect subordinates protecting organization from risks, for example, those kind of things, or sharing information with colleagues. And these are both positive performance behaviors, and we also want to prevent negative behaviors. This is out of topic, but I want to mention about it because this is also important. So what we call counterproductive work behaviors, okay, that is violates the legitimate interests of or do harm to an organization or its stakeholders. Sometimes employees engage in these types of behaviors, okay? Like poor attendance or intentionally performing badly, okay? Or misusing information or resources of the organization, or misusing the equipment of the organization, or doing internet during the work time, okay? Or abusing others, okay? Or stealing something from the company. Okay? So this is also important, and we don't discuss this topic today, but we discuss what drives these behaviors as well as what hinders or what suppresses these behaviors, negative behaviors. Because it is important for leaders to know how to prevent negative behaviors. And this is important because once, as a manager, once you leave your subordinates doing this sort of behaviors, it is very um, contagious. Once you see your colleagues doing this sort of behaviors and managers not intervening, you tend to start similar behaviors. So you create a very unhealthy atmosphere in your workplace, and it's that contagious. So you need to be aware. All right. So let's focus on task performance and organization fitness behavior. So the question, next question is whether individual characteristics like personality and cognitive ability or organizational context, which is more important? Both. Yeah, of course. The answer is both. But my question is, which is more important? Or to what extent each of these matter?
I think it depends on the environment of the organization also.
Yeah.
And even I say it's different in every state. And it's somehow I have to say that culture is also different.
Oh yeah.
And
So,
in my country, I think organization context is more important.
okay.
If you don't have good policy and strategy for and law based on law,
Okay.
and the system is have to work well, that is really important and needed.
Okay. Is it because the social institutions are not very developed?
Absolutely, yeah. So that is needed. And even like if we find a good character individuals who are performing very well,
Yeah.
but they are counterproductive.
Okay. If you don't discipline them.
Yeah, if there is no organizational context and policy study.
Okay.
So, but if you compare it with another country, developed country, Japan,
Yeah.
so I would say that individual character is really important. If you find out a guy with a good ability, then you all hiring him and you can use whatever you want.
Possibly.
Yeah, and have the example in my office. I have different employees.
Mhm.
The best performance I see like it is Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It may be because of country context.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are embedded in situated in country. Okay. And organizational context, organizational culture, for example, and individual characteristics are both influenced by country culture. Okay. So that may be also interesting. Okay. To investigate. So this is one of available answers from accumulated research of human resource behavior, organizational behavior, and human resource management. Okay. So this research is based on a number of hundreds of research individually done, and the researchers aggregated results of many different researches and looks into to what extent task performance, OCD, organizational skills behavior, and counterproductive work behavior are explained by individual differences, like cognitive ability and personality. Okay. And what this research tells is that task performance is well explained. Most of it, roughly half of it, is explained by intelligence, cognitive ability, and personality. Okay? So in order to have people perform well on their tasks, you need to select the people. You need to be selective in hiring people. But still you have another 44%, which comes from management, leadership, relationship, all other things. Okay. So you only, so the performance, only half of performance come from individual differences, if you put difference. More interesting stuff is here. Okay. So all these behaviors you mentioned is categorized under the umbrella of OCD, organizational specific behavior. Only 50% is explained by individual intelligence and personality. So this means whether your subordinates demonstrate these behaviors or not depends on organizational context that you create as a leader. So this explains how much leaders' behaviors and intervention are important. And interestingly, counterproductive work behaviors are more explained by personality rather than intelligence, cognitive ability. This means smart people and poor people both make stupid things. Both demonstrate bad behavior. And it's true, isn't it? Yeah. Smart people that smart, right? Okay. Like frauds, okay? So intelligence really doesn't matter. Okay? What matters more is personality. Okay? But anyhow, still, these behaviors are more influenced by organizational context rather than individual differences. So it is true that it's important to selectively hire people if you focus on task performance. But in today's workplace, task performance is, yes, it's important, but OCD is more important. Yeah, as you rightly suggested in the beginning of this discussion. Okay, so we really need to pay attention to what drives these behaviors, positive behaviors, helping others, being supportive of others, or listening to others. All right. So before moving into what drives OCD, let me talk a bit about what drives task performance. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, it's important to selective recruitment process to hire people with relatively high levels of cognitive ability and personality traits that fit with the job. If you ask people to do sales job, then it's important to hire extrovert person rather than very introvert person. But it might not be the case if you ask them to do R&D, for example. So the fit between individual and job depends on the nature of the job. And the other thing is, it's important to clarify job description. If you expect the individual to perform their tasks well, you need to define the tasks you expect. So it's important. And of course, to evaluate their performance based on the assigned tasks, and also give rewards based on the evaluation. By linking their task performance with evaluation and reward, individuals can expect that if I put a lot of energy on this task I can get something. This expectation promotes their motivation and therefore drives their task performance. This is a photo that I got from a very local area in China.
Okay, I took this photo in a restroom in China. Okay. So this explains the job responsibility of restroom changing staff, cleaning staff, and it says, dedicate yourself, stand fast for your job, conduct high quality hygiene and cleaning job in your responsible area according to the company's standard, totally examine dustbin, signs and restroom every day, make sure every equipment is in a perfect condition, request repair when you discover any damage, and promptly inspect the area, immediately clear rubbish or paper scraps, leave no stone unturned, afford a standardized service, etc., etc., etc. So this is very specific and clear. And I found the same place on every single restaurant. Okay. And I asked my guy why they put this there, and the answer was simple. Yeah, it's simple. People can know what they need to do, and supervisors can remind them what they need to do. So this is very simple, and I think this is very effective because if you are a supervisor, you can immediately tell what's not done properly. Okay? If you put this on the wall. But of course, it is more difficult to do this sort of clear definition for knowledge workers, right? But to some extent, you can put effort, clarify what's expected, what needs to be done, in order to expect them to perform their tasks. This is one of the things that you can do as a manager. And a bad news in Japan is in Japanese organizations, it's typically not very well done. Managers are typically very vague about expectations. And that's why many Japanese managers cannot perform well in foreign assignments. Japanese subordinates can understand their high context communication, but not unless that sort of communication is not necessarily effective in foreign context. Right. Okay. So these are the things that promote organizational citizenship behavior. First one is positive work-related attitude. If you are satisfied with the job, or if you are satisfied with your boss, you tend to perform positively in your workplace. If you are not happy, you do not demonstrate OCB, like helping others. But if you are happy, you tend to demonstrate citizenship behavior. Very important. So healthy work environment is, yes, indeed important to promote citizenship behavior. And actually, a lot of organizations survey employee satisfaction, but satisfaction really don't contribute much to task performance. But it is important still, because satisfaction promotes citizenship behavior. And second one is passive support. So this is a nature of humankind, that when we receive something from someone, we want to return something back to the person. Okay? So if your boss is supportive, then you feel obliged to return something to your boss by demonstrating positive behavior as well. It is the same between you and your colleagues, or between the organization and you. So if your organization is very supportive of you, understand what you want to do, and the organization shows willingness to support you when you need help, then you want to do something for the organization. That is, this sort of reaction is found almost everywhere across the world. So providing support is a good way to get something out of employees beyond their assigned tasks. The third one is justice, but you can call it fairness. Okay. If you don't see fairness in the workplace, there are a lot of reasons you see it unfair. Okay. For example, reward, evaluation, pay distribution, or the task allocation. And if you think your workplace is unfair, you tend to focus on what will be evaluated, what will be valued. Okay? So people shrink their work to task performance, and you don't demonstrate, go beyond assigned tasks. Okay? So it's very important to keep the workplace fair. And I think the healthy environment can include the sense of fairness. And the last one is job characteristics. Okay. I think one of you mentioned autonomy, right, in the discussion. And yes, giving autonomy to employees is very important because if you are confined in a very rigidly assigned task, then you cannot go beyond it. You don't have space to help colleagues or to share information with your colleagues. So to give subordinates to appropriate level of autonomy is also important. Okay, so the design of job, design of tasks also matters. So as a manager, you really need to pay attention to very different things. Okay? Whether the environment is satisfactory, whether you provide support and subordinates provide support to each other, and whether things are done fairly, okay? And finally, whether the design of the job is appropriate. Okay? Interdependence refers to dependency between multiple individuals. For example, my performance, for example, depends on Shingo's performance, and Shingo's performance depends on my performance, then I have every reason to support Shingo. Because if Shingo succeeds, I can succeed too. Okay? So interdependence, designing jobs that are independent, mutually interdependent, helps you promote mutual support among subordinates. Again, designing job properly really helps to promote positive behavior. All right, so let's move on to the second point. Sorry, I ran out of my time, so I will not give you time to discuss it. But this is a topic that I discussed in the last session of management of the course management of people and organization. So I asked students to discuss how the future organization looks like, okay, and how will the way we work change in the coming 10 years. And of course, after this question, we discussed what is the implications for us as a leader in managing people and organization. And the topics included, first one is plan boundary and virtual work. Okay. Nowadays, you can work from wherever you want, like this, okay, if you are connected to the internet. Okay. And many organizations increasingly introduce virtual teams. Do you know the concept? Okay. So a virtual team is a team, but team members do not work in the same place. Okay. Some members might be working in their home, from their home, and some might work from America, some might work from Europe, and some from, for example, Thailand. Okay. How can this impact managers' ability to meet people? Okay. It is more difficult to understand the context of subordinates, and it is more difficult to nurture shared understanding among subordinates. Okay. If you work together in the same place, you can see what your colleagues do. But if everyone is separated, it is more difficult to see what others do, and therefore it's more difficult to develop shared understanding, common knowledge among subordinates. How does that impact your performance? Okay. That's something you need to really think. Okay. And this is not limited within an organization. For example, when I work as a consultant, I often join online meeting from outside. Okay. So I'm an outsider, but I work together with those insiders. How does that happen for leadership? Right. The second thing is related but a bit different. It's non-traditional workforce. Okay. Traditionally, employment relationship was very simple. One person gets a job in a company. Okay. Nowadays, it's not the case. Okay. For example, one person may hold multiple jobs in different organizations. Okay. Or there are lots of independent contractors, like independent consultants working for different projects in different organizations. So how can we make sure these independent contractors commit to the project and demonstrate OCB, helping colleagues in the same project? How can we do that? And the last one is gig workers, who are also independent contractors, but a bit different, because independent consultants are autonomous, but they are kind of embedded in a work process that is controlled by computers. So the nature of employment is work is very different. And the last topic I discussed is electronic control and surveillance of work. Okay. Do you know how Amazon's logistics centers work? You are constantly you receive constant orders from your device and where to go, and you pick one item and run to the next point. So your work and your day is basically controlled by algorithms. But it's not at all new. If you look at, for example, 19th century factory, you are part of the production process. You are controlled by the process. So this looks new, but the nature of work isn't really new. But what is the implication for us as a manager? Sometimes managing this sort of workplace. The last one is electronic surveillance. Okay. How many of you think you are constantly monitored by your boss or by your workplace organization? Okay. Nowadays, many organizations can survey your email, okay, can track your web behaviors, okay, and there are loads of cameras, and many companies are able to know who is meeting who. And this sort of information can be used to identify potential fraud, that is one thing, and also can be used to promote performance by helping people work more proactively and productively, but can be used to evaluate the employee. Okay. What is the ethical implication of this? Okay. Yes, we can collect more data about the employee, but should we do that? So this is more about moral question. Okay. And this relates to the nature of this universe. Okay. We discuss liberal arts, like philosophy, and technology and human beings, and management. This is why we think it's important to combine liberal arts and management. So without values, your beliefs, or your view about the world, you cannot make this sort of ethical decision. It's more difficult. Now, all right. So let me show you the course structure. So this is a typical structure of a course. So in the course, we typically have 6 or 8 sessions, and each has 3 hours. And so we started from individual differences and motivation, behavior, as we discussed today, and decision making, and then these are very micro topics, focusing on individual behaviors and differences. And then we moved on to macro topics like human resource management and organizational development, diversity, and we looked at the future based on our understanding of what's going on in today's organization. So, and we try to connect different courses together, as I just did. We try to combine what you learned from liberal arts courses or other courses like strategy or business policy with what you discussed in this lecture. That is what we do. Okay, so any questions so far about what we just discussed? Right? Okay, so let's move on to the second part of the session. Okay, so the second part of the session focuses on what we do at Shizenkan and its MBA program. Okay. You can always interact. You can always ask a question. Okay. So, okay. So let me briefly introduce who we are. So this university established in 2018 as a global leadership education institution. We are located in Tokyo, but we want to be global. And if you look at our cohort or who is sitting here, we want to be diverse as possible in Tokyo. And we are accredited by the Ministry of Education in Japan. So we provide a degree of MBA in design and leadership for societal innovation. And the program is part-time, so you can continue working full-time, and you study weekday evenings and weekends, and it lasts for 12 months. Okay, so students start at the end of August, typically, and they finish most of their coursework at the end of May. Okay, so that's the structure of the program. And we have 80 students per year, half Japanese class and half English class. So English class students mostly receive lectures in English. There are some combined classes, but Japanese students take courses in Japanese. And our purpose is to develop next generation leaders who can envision future and lead change and innovation. And the background of this is that we think that we are living at a time of significant social transformation. Okay? So democracy, capitalism, globalization, all these things are questioned now. Okay? And we are seeking new model of human society. And we are facing significant problems of survival because of global warming. Okay? So we are facing with significant changes in human society. And in this time, we need leaders who can create new way of working, new style of organization. And therefore, we focus on leadership development, developing leaders who can envision future based on the understanding of the current state, and also deliver change and innovation. And to achieve the goal, we innovate leadership education, overcome the limitations of traditional MBA education that developed in the 20th century in the US. So MBA model now delivered everywhere, but it's originally from America and developed in the age of modern capitalism. So it's 20th century. So we question the assumptions behind the current MBA model, and we want to create a new way of developing leaders. So that's why our program looks so different from what's taught in major MBA schools. So this is the composition of our students. So as I mentioned earlier, we have half Japanese class and half English class, and we have 65% Japanese students and 35 foreign students. And the current students, foreign students, are coming from 30 countries and regions. And if you look at the countries' names, it's very diverse from different continents. And the average age of our students is 33, so it's relatively mature students compared to American MBA schools. And we welcome business sector students as well as non-business sector students. And there are students coming from social companies, social businesses, and also NPOs, and also government sector. And we are doing this because, as I said earlier, we are in the significant transition time. And if we focus on business people, our perspective is very limited. So in order to keep diversity of viewpoints and perspectives in our conversation, we want to have students coming from different groups. And gender is like this, and we want more female students, but this is a reality in Japan. And in order to make our education global, we partner with global institutions. For example, we have a very strong relationship with SOI. It's an Indian business school with very strong networks with Indian business groups. And IESE, This is located in Barcelona, Spain. It's also a very strong partner with us, and this school is #1 in executive education for financial time. So it's a very well established school. But they share our aim to develop leaders with their own worldviews and strong beliefs and values. So they partner with us. And we also partner with FGV. It is a think tank in Brazil, one of the top in Latin America. And we recently made an agreement to work together with the Center for Peace and Innovation in Israel. This is a hub of tech innovation in Israel. And we will work together to promote tech innovation between Japan and Israel. So we are strongly rooted in Japan, and many of our staff is Japanese, but we look very globally and act globally. Okay. And this is a list of key characteristics of our program. So we teach analysis, but also we teach envisionment. So traditional MBA courses are very good at analyzing business activities like financial numbers and accounting and marketing, but we want students to be able to create their own vision, looking at the future and deliver vision. And traditional MBA teaching focuses on how to make profit. But we want students to think why we do this, why this company needs to succeed. This requires you to think about society, the world, human beings. So that's why we teach liberal arts, to nurture your own view about the world, history, and humanity. And we encourage, throughout 20 months, we encourage students to deeply reflect on themselves. This is because you should know yourself in order to be a strong leader. And you should envision what kind of leader you want to be. And this depends on your values, your personal history. That needs your reflection. So our program is a combination of these three, and the details are like this. So this is a chart that shows our skill development courses. So the focus is developing skills for analysis and envisioning. So this is clustered into 4. The first one is understanding the changing environment through system thinking, looking at future, and understanding AI and digital. And the second one is sketching out a vision and business idea. Here we combine the elements of design school into this. So we have a course focusing on envisioning and design, and also marketing to understand and develop your position in the market. And the third item is verifying the vision and business idea. This includes very traditional MBA content like accounting, corporate finance, and strategy management. And the last one is how to deliver your plan. That includes people and organization, communication, and negotiation. And we have a couple of courses that integrates everything, like business policy and business plan. And we work together with top consultancies. Like in this course, we work with AT Kearney, and in digital, we work with BCG, and for accounting, Deloitte joined us. And we invite some foreign faculties as well. Like for strategic management, we have David Collins from Harvard Business School, who will teach strategy through case studies. And in liberal arts courses, we want students expand their perspective throughout time and also throughout space. These are the 2 dimensions through which we want to expand students' perspective. So we are living here, present as an individual. We look at the past of human society and think about the future of human society. And we think about individual, company, community, socio-economic system, and human beings itself. These are the courses for this topic. So we have a course dedicated to think about what's company for. In other words, why companies do exist. Why do we need companies? And second course is about capitalism. So we are living in the world of modern capitalism, and the basis of it is modern Western philosophy. And we look at how we came to this state and think about how our society can develop further based on the understanding of modern capitalism. And we look at science, technology, and innovation, what can happen in future. And we think about religion, and we invite religious sociologists to teach students about the diversity of thoughts and beliefs in different parts of the world. And we look at social system, and we have Eastern philosophy and leadership towards the end of the course. So this is another uniqueness of our teaching, because we try to combine Western thinking and Eastern thinking. Because we believe Asia will play more important role, and in order to fully utilize the potential of human beings, we need to understand both perspectives. The last element is self-reflection, and we encourage students to seek answers to the following question: who am I? And what will I do as a leader? And what kind of leader I want to be? So we ask students to make a vision speech at the beginning and do some self-assessment as a leader. And we have a series of workshops to encourage students to reflect deeply about their values, life purposes, and vision. And towards the end of the first year, we have a session to explore the essence of leadership. What is leadership? And why leadership is important for human society. And in the second year, we have a significant portion for individual projects. So each student will choose their own topic that they want to tackle after their graduation from Shizenkan. Okay. Some may launch their own new business, or some may propose launching a new business within the organization they work for, or some may engage with transforming the organizational culture. So you can choose your own idea based on what you learned and your own career ambition. And we have research seminars. Typically, students are grouped by their interests, and through discussions, students learn together to develop their own initiative. So this is what we do for 2 years. So let me show you some of our faculty members. So we try to attract best leading professionals in a respective field. For example, in corporate finance, we have Professor Sato coming from McKinsey. And as I said earlier, digital transformation is taught by Professor Takabe coming from BCD. And for envisioning and design, Professor Sato is a professional in design thinking. And we welcome Professor Ethan Lee with me for global management. He's coming for this course from Barcelona. And we have, these are probably familiar names for Japanese guys. So we have Shinji Miyadai, Seiji Takeda, and also Daizaburo Hashizume, who are leading sociologists, philosophers, and also religious sociologists in Japan. And you will have intensive sessions with them. And we have Patrick Muir, who deals with science, technology, and innovation. And he's a representative of TEDx Tokyo and also Singularity University in Japan. And for reflection session, we have Orisa Hirata. He is a playwright and director, and you engage with creating your own show through this course, working together with your diverse colleagues. This is a course to create a new show, but also to learn how you are different from your colleagues by working together. And the Peter then, he has a strong network with social entrepreneurs around the world, and he delivers a course about worldview and conflicting values, where students think about what's the problem in this society, today's world, and through group work, they identify what matters most for them in terms of social problems. And the last one is discovering your core, which is taught by Professor Enomoto. He's the founder of CTI Japan, and this is one of the biggest executive coaching organizations in Japan. So he has worked with many executives in big companies. So he helps you to find out who you are and to envision what kind of leader you are. And this is a typical week at Shizenkan. So you normally have a couple of courses a week. And we typically ask play and post assignments like reading and cases. And students also engage in group projects in some courses. So we often see students coming in these free slots to do their group work here. And as I mentioned earlier, our teaching approach is interactive, and we expect everyone participates in class discussion. So it means you need to be prepared before coming here. Right? Otherwise, the discussion is very boring. Yeah? So we take attendance as well as participation, and that's reflected to your grade. So this is an effort to encourage everyone to participate in conversation so that students can learn from everyone. Okay. This is very, very important because, of course, we can teach, but the most important learning coming from different perspectives and different ideas, you bring into course discussion. So that's why we really encourage students to come and also to be prepared. All right, so this is the end of my presentation, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Yep.
So it is possible for or in my case, I have time. I can start like before August. So what is the possibility to start before August? Maybe in April or more.
No, we don't have that flexibility for now, because we want students to go through the same journey. Okay, starting with class bonding towards graduation. So yeah, there is no autonomy, no freedom in that. So we ask everyone start at August at the end of August.
And the degree is how many credits?
Cody, how many credits do we need?
Maybe credits.
I think it's like 43.
43? How many credits do we need?
Around 42.
Around 42. Yeah, so I didn't introduce elective courses. So we have a number of elective courses like social entrepreneurship and citizen management or business turnaround and global strategy and management, social policy, those kind of things. So if you are interested in social issues more than business itself, you can take those socially focused courses. And these are also taught by professionals. And if you take more elective courses, you will be a lot busier. So I recommend everyone to be very careful. Yeah.
And does the credit is transferable? Like maybe some students have previous same subjects studied in different institutions.
It's case by case basis. but we are not very willing to do that. Yeah, at this moment. Yeah. For the same reason, we want students to have the same experience. Yeah. This year we had some students who have been working on marketing for a number of years, and we didn't give Weaver for him. Yeah.
The reason why is, yeah, normally we can offer those things to this role to skip the course to have master of marketing, for example. But we are talking with the person, please contribute this class, to activate the discussion, share your experience, to improve your learning, not only yourself, but also to all of the class. That's why we recommend to participate in courses, especially for the person.
Yeah. Actually, in my course, I had 2 HR professionals working in HR for 10 years, and it was very stressful to teach them. You can imagine. Yeah? Probably they may know better than me on some subject, particularly the practical side of it, but they did a great contribution for the course by bringing their own experiences. Yeah, exactly. And also they have some new insights by telling their own stories and getting new feedback from their colleagues. So there's always learning. And yeah, they were happy with the course.
Yeah. And I found out, if I answered the same question I asked
Yeah.
from your lecture, that the vision of this university is different than another institutions.
Yeah.
The other institutions may be more thinking about the benefit, but this university thinking to do some good to mankind.
Yes. Yes.
And some humanitarian affairs
Yeah.
supportive to the society.
Yeah.
So based on that, they want the different style of course and lectures.
Yeah.
To open where the students all together and the same.
Yeah, exactly. So we have strong belief that leaders need to have purpose,
Yeah.
and to contribute to the society for greater good. And otherwise, the world cannot continue. Yeah. Any other question? Hey guys, you should have questions. All right, so let's close the session here. And if you have more questions that you want to ask personally, I can answer, and I will be here for some time. Okay? Or if you suddenly come up with a burning question after you arrive home, you can always send us an email. Okay? We are very happy to answer whatever question you have. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming. Oh, before you leave, let me announce 2 upcoming events that I hope interesting for you. On 7th February, Friday, we have Chief Executive Officer of Toyota Research Institute. Okay, so this guy, James Hafner, is in charge of developing autonomous driving and AI driving for Toyota. So he will talk about management of continuous innovation. Okay, this is interesting. You might think AI is disruptive innovation, but Toyota is tackling it in a very Toyota way, continuous improvement. Right? So he will talk about it. And we will have Piotr Budivac. He's a former HR manager of Google, and he will talk about new paradigm of people management. So this touches a bit. So this is related with the last part of my lecture in this session. So how management needs to change in the time of internet and individual autonomy. Okay. This is the topic for this session. It will be on 25th February. So you can directly contact us, or you can search on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will send you an email with this kind of information.
Yeah. So you provided us your personal contact, so we will keep you informed. Okay. This is it. Thank you very much for coming, and have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
So from later on, I will send you the other email with the attached information, this kind of session. And also, we can provide the opportunity to come to the real class. For instance, system thinking on the religion. from Professor Shizenkan. You can join without the class. That's it. In from back. Yeah. So anyway, please enjoy the Shizenkan and please feel free to contact me. I can share your details come from and the real student life and what is a struggle, what is a good point, any other opportunity like that. Like that. And of course, we can provide the Japanese version session. 日本語のセッションがご用意しますので、英語だけじゃないので、安心ください。And the invitation to Yoshikawa-san, Amano-san, and I will read the Shizenkan statement. So if you have any question, practical question, we can answer. All the same. Thank you. Anyway, thank you for coming on the Friday night.
Thank you very much. Where are you working at? Yeah, I know, but where the location? Oh, okay. Okay, so it's not that far. So how do you find Japan? Are you enjoying it here? Okay. Okay.
I like the vibe.
Okay, good. Good.
For now, I don't want to live in Roma.
Oh, it's bad for your country. Then also one time. You're very Oh, we have a student coming from Philippines. So if you want to contact them, please ask if they want, please send us an email. Yeah, we can introduce them. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I hope they have a video. I'm sure.
Okay, let's see. That's the best use you can go.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Go ahead, you
She's also you will have some training.
Yes. So after that,
To go to other area or region. You can be